image that we actually looked at in the camera when I was shooting it and said, oh, you kind of like that. She doesn't look too bad there. But that's what's actually been shot on this one.
Yeah, red
Yeah.
space.
But that's still in red space. Hang on a sec. Thank you.
It's scary that I can tell that from here.
It is,
So
isn't
I
it?
guess after 2 months I am getting it. There's log.
That's what we use.
And you're able to separate all that too.
This is just metadata.
This,
He hasn't touched
this
the
is
data.
metadata. All this is what the camera actually recorded. You remember I was saying it records flat?
Right.
If you remember with your 35mm project, what you want to give the color corrector is a flat image with as wide a range of tonal data as possible, because that gives me something I can pull every part of the image back from and take it in any way. This is the same. The red works the same as film. As a color corrector, I want this. It looks hideous.
Right.
If you try to edit with this, you're going to say, oh, out, reject, 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 reject. But this is what I want. So what you're probably going to get back from a shoot is a 1K version that looks like this, which is more or less-ish kind of getting there.
Yeah.
What this is actually doing is it's saying, okay, I have to throw a quick concept at you here. You've got red space, red log, red 709. Have you noticed everything that Red have ever done says red, somewhere big on it, and the camera has so many damn logos on it, even the cardboard boxes it comes on, every cardboard box has got a red logo printed on it. But there are these different color spaces. What the camera's seeing is red log, which is the flat image that it's recording. It always records at 320 ASA, and it always records just like this, with the color balance set at 5,000, and everything else turned off, basically. And Rec 709 is the image that you're normally going to see on the viewfinder or an output from the camera for you to look at, and that's the one that you put in your color correction, your white balances, your look is all dialed in. So when you look at that Rec 709, it looks like what you're going to get at the end of the day. What we output to you guys to do the editing is a 1K version of the Rec 709, because it looks more or less what it's going to. That's kind of a major concept, and have I explained that even half well? Does it make sense? So what I can do to her image, this is just data, and this is the R3D file it's reading. So I can say, well, number 1, up the contrast. Number 3, up the contrast, up the contrast. And maybe increase the exposure very slightly. And too much, back down. Down. So you know how when you look at an LCD screen from an angle, you can't really see very much. You can't see a thing here. And then increase my saturation. Too much. Change my color balance a little bit towards the cooler. Maybe add a little bit of tint over the whole picture. Maybe I want just a touch more red, or a touch less red. The tint just moved by itself. Damn it. And of course I can change my curves to say, well, I want a different black balance. I want a different look to the way that's working. I want it to come in higher up the ladder, whatever else. We don't use this for doing color correction. It's way, way too basic. But you can see how the difference between the metadata and that Rec 709, the finished image, looks so dramatically different to what it records. And just like that, I'm not correcting the image. I'm just telling the data what to do. It's not been burnt in yet. This is still, I can do anything with it. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of your first stage. And Red Alert makes it easy to do that. And I can then output a whole load of files and burn them to ProRes HQ 422HQ files, which is what we normally suggest people work with at 1K. Great for you to edit with, give them the right look, everything else. Once it turns into a ProRes file, it's no longer linked to the R3D. And to do my color correction, I need to go back to this sucker and start working from that. You can kind of do it in using color in Final Cut. It doesn't work. You can do it in a number of other ways. We use about 3 different programs to achieve the relinking and the color correction to the element we want it to. But it is a slightly messy process, but you see how much flexibility you've got. The other nice thing about a red is that, you know, film has an exposure latitude of between 11 and 13 stops generally, depending on your